So I'm Henrika, and I am the first female data scientist in Zimbabwe, my country. There's a disclaimer though. I haven't created a model that's been put to production yet. So this is how young and inexperienced the data science industry is in Zimbabwe. But it's not all bad news. I'm excited to be a data fan because I'm learning so much and I can just copy and paste and go and grow the data science industry back home. So I'm really excited to be here. So I just got back from Silicon Valley and I got to meet different leaders, CEOs, tech execs of leading tech companies. I even met the guy who was part of the team that created PDFs. Imagine, PDFs did not exist. This guy was there and then they existed. I met him. So being in Silicon Valley, I was looking for these huge data insights that I could learn so that when I come back home to Africa, I have these big, great things I can implement that I learned in Silicon Valley. But funny enough, the finding I came back with after speaking to all these CEOs and leaders was a simple one, and you'll know about it by the end of this presentation. So let's have a quick look at the global and African trends in data science, since we're speaking of the future of data science. I've called these the ABCs. I heard a term called active intelligence. I recently attended the virtual Click World Summit, and they had this really cool dashboard where they were speaking of active intelligence. The dashboard showed results from a churn prediction model, but you could drill down to each customer and see the probability of them churning. And it would suggest a couple of actions. If you call this customer, the churn probability will reduce from, let's say, 80% to 60%. So that action of calling is reducing your churn. So we've heard people speaking about active intelligence, and that's what that looks like. Business intelligence is the B, and this one is debatable because some people are saying we're moving away from business intelligence to other things, for example, active intelligence, but I'll leave you to decide if that's a global trend. The third one, I almost put cloud for my C, but cloud is obvious, and no matter what technology or tool you use, the customer will always be king. So I had to put customer intelligence for the C. So globally, no matter how much we advance, we always have to have the customer first, and many speakers before have alluded to this. The D is decision intelligence. We've heard of decision intelligence. And so this is just a quick snippet of, in my perspective, the global trends of the future of data science. Let's come to Africa. Now, when it comes to Africa, we're talking the real ABCs. Do we even have access to data? I did a Google search of the global trends for the future of data science, and there were so many findings that came from Gartner, different sites. And then I Google searched African trends, future of data science. I think the last article was in 2016 or something. I really couldn't find much. So in Africa, yes, some of us are ahead, but many of us are still behind. We're still dealing with ABCs like access and availability of data. We're also dealing with populations that are still struggling with basic needs. Do we want to talk AI and machine learning when people are still struggling with bread and butter issues of life? The C is customer again, and here I put not customer intelligence, but customer service, because I don't know about you, but how many of us have had a bad customer service experience in Africa? Right? Quite a common thing. So we can't be talking AI, BI, customer intelligence without dealing with our basic things like customer service, as another example. The D is my favorite. Yes, we've spoken of all these things, but there's one thing that can help us fix these problems that we face in Africa, and talent has a lot to do with it. I love that a lot of speakers have said this. People are important. People are at the center of data. People are at the center of organizations. So, though we have these challenges in Africa, if we deal with our data talent, we can get somewhere. So, what does the future of data science look like in Africa? I would like to argue that data talent is where we need to be focusing for the future of data science. So, allow me to tell you the story of a young African girl from my country, Zimbabwe. And this girl was born to a single mother. She had school fees issues growing up. They weren't always able to afford her school fees. That also continued into her university life. This is a true story, by the way. This continued into her university life. They had more fees issues. She ended up repeating her degree, one, because they couldn't afford school fees for some of her modules, but also because the degree was too hard for her. She ended up passing her university after this repetition. But while everyone else got distinctions in upper second degree classes, she just got a lower second degree. Sounds pretty average, right? She graduated in 2012. She couldn't find a job in her industry. She had studied a science degree, but she couldn't find a job, so she did admin for 5 years, because that's what was available. And for those of us who know the Zimbabwean job market, trust me, it's really hard to get a job, I can testify. This girl had no guidance. So she had a science degree, hadn't done too well grade-wise, and she was working in admin for 5 years. But in 2018, the chief analytics officer of the leading telco in Zimbabwe took a chance on this young lady and started to teach her data from scratch. What is data? How do you work with data? She also then got to work with the COO, Chief Operations Officer of the same large telco. And from there, her journey began. After 5 years of doing admin, she finally found something she was passionate about, and she had this Chief Analytics Officer and Chief Operations Officer mentoring her and helping her. This girl has gone on to train hundreds of young African people in data science and analytics. She's a LinkedIn learning instructor, and she recently came back from Silicon Valley. This young lady is me. So what was the finding? Remember I said there was a simple finding from Silicon Valley? It was simply this. You can try numbers, you can do everything you want, but there's one thing that matters for driving an organization, and that's people. I am who I am today and where I am today because of the CAO I've spoken about and the COO who took a chance on me when I knew absolutely nothing, hired me at a large telco and started teaching me on my first day of work what is data. I had no idea. Today, trust me, I'm someone you want to work with. I am so passionate, I love my job. I remember where I came from. So literally everything I do, I put my all. And so I would like you as a data leader to think, who is the me of your organization? Who is the me of your community? Who can you look down and mentor and pull up? Because I remember when I started, I had passion, I was teachable, I was willing to learn, but I just had no opportunity. And us as data leaders are the people who create opportunities for this data talent. So the future of data science lies in this, in your data talent and in your people. Talent is key to driving the excellent services you want to provide. Who are you taking a chance on? Like the CAO of Econet Wireless took a chance on me. We can't be at a data conference and not collect real-time data. So if we could please go to www.mentor.com and use the code that you can see there and tell us, as a data leader, are you personally grooming any data talent? If the answer is no, feel free, it's anonymous, we won't see your name come up. But yeah, just go to see that fun collection of results and real-time data. Let's see what we find. Hopefully the results will start pouring in. So the instructions are at the top, www.mentor.com, the code that's there, and answer us. Okay, so far, 5 people have answered, and they all claim they are currently grooming data talent in their personal capacity. We have some honest no's there. I'll wait a couple of seconds for a few more responses so that our data is a good representation of the numbers in this room. I'll wait a couple more seconds for those who are still introspecting and defining terms. What is to groom? What is talent?
It's no food. It's no food.
Okay, I think those are quite a significant number of people who've answered, and this is quite insightful. 55% of us in this room say confidently that they're currently grooming data talent. What about the rest of us? You've heard my story today and the impact it's made on my life. I challenge you to go out there and start having your radar on for your data talent. Because trust me, one day you're not going to be here, and everything that you've built, your perfect data governance policies and data systems, when you now need to hand them over to someone, when you go, it all goes with you. So let's think of who we are grooming as we walk our data leader journeys. Okay. Oh. So I was just going to say, I'm on LinkedIn. I write a lot of articles about mentorship, about the people I work with. I have a young lady that I mentored from scratch. I'm very passionate about this because I'm a beneficiary of it. So I sat down with this lady. She's from a disadvantaged background, doesn't have a computer. And I taught her Python from scratch. I taught her Power BI from scratch. Today, she is leading a social enterprise, and she is the data technology officer of that small little enterprise, but she knows how to build dashboards in Power BI, and she's using data to make decisions. So I post those dashboards on my LinkedIn, and I just share a lot of insight about that. So I will end there and stop for any comments, questions, queries, concerns.